Intro song.
Let's collect and examine some fingerprints. First, we're going to have a look at our own fingerprints, which are unique to each of us. You'll just need a pencil, some tape, some paper, and some scissors. What you want to do is trace out your hand first, just to keep track of which fingerprint goes with which finger. Then you need some kind of pigment to stain the patterns on your finger. The simplest thing to use is just the graphite from a pencil. So what I'm going to do is just scribble in one patch and really build up a layer of graphite that then I can pick up by putting my finger on it. You could also use a marker or an ink pad if you have one. There are lots of options, but this one takes very few resources. Once the pigment's on your fingertip, use some clear sellotape to pick that pigment back off, and that will carry the pattern with it, which we can then stick onto the paper. Get a piece that's longer than you'll need, because obviously you can contaminate it with your fingerprints by holding it. I like to stick it onto the scissors so that it stays in place. Then I just rub some graphite on my fingerprint, and then stick that on the tape. Very simple. Now I'll stick that onto the paper in the position for the finger it goes with, which in this case is my thumb. Repeat the process for all your fingers. I'm just going to do my left hand here, but you might like to do both hands because your fingerprints are actually different from finger to finger. Here's my finished fingerprint map for my left hand. To analyze your fingerprints, you'll need to magnify them. You can use a magnifying glass, but you're actually better off using a camera from your phone or a device, a tablet or something. If you have that in position where it's nice and stable, I used a cup, and then zoom it in, you can get a really clear image that you can then look at for the features you're trying to find. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see that we've got a really nice image that shows a lot of detail in my finger. You can see this finger has a whirl type print. I can see some ridge endings, some bifurcations, lots of details. Now to collect some prints from the environment. We're going to start with a balloon that we're using to collect soot from a candle. So you want to put some water in it, maybe quarter fill it, and then blow it up till it's about halfway expanded, and that'll be fine. Get a base for your candle. I'm just using a block of wood, and I've got it obviously in a safe place to light the candle. Have adult supervision for this one, please. So we're going to light the candle. Here's an old trick. You melt a bit of the wax onto your base, whatever it's going to be, and then stick the candle into that, and that'll hold it fairly securely. Make sure that the balloon is dry where you want to collect the soot. Then simply hold the balloon over the flame, nice and close, and you'll see it collects all that soot. It's pretty cool that the balloon won't pop. I tried holding over the fire for a long time in one spot, but it still didn't pop. The energy from the flame is being dissipated through all the water inside the balloon. Then you need a nice soft brush. The softer the better. A makeup brush or a shaving brush work best. I found a paintbrush that had quite soft bristles. You want to collect the soot on the brush and make sure you've got a good amount on there. The soot is mostly carbon particles and it's very, very fine. That's just what you want to pick up the prints. Then you just want to take your object or surface that you think might have fingerprints and very gently brush that soot, those carbon particles, over the surface. They'll collect onto the oils that were on the person's fingers. Now, this does take a bit of practice, and I found that a couple of times I brushed too hard and actually brushed away the prints. So be very careful. If you don't get it right the first time, just practice a bit more. This is a skill that takes some time, and forensics scientists who do this work, they get a lot of practice. Interestingly, your hands don't actually have glands that produce those oils. The oils that are on people's fingers that leave fingerprints typically come from them touching their face or their hair. You can see I got some nice clear prints this time. So what I'm going to do next is just put some sellotape over the print carefully, and when I pull that off, that will lift the print up. Then when I stick that onto a piece of paper, it'll be very easy to analyze and look for details afterwards. Here you can see the prints I lifted off the cup. I'm going to use the same trick with a camera on a phone to magnify and take a photo of the prints. Now, you'll notice that these ones aren't as clear as the ones I collected before, which were directly off my fingertip. These were latent prints on a cup, but as you can see, a lot of details come through. Now we can use this latent fingerprint and match it to fingerprints we take from a suspect, for instance, and look for features. And if the features are all the same, then we can match that print to that person, which means we can match that person to that place. That is the real use of forensics fingerprints. They're unique to a person, which means we can link a person and a location.